The cargo freighter Stellar Harmony moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its hull was old and scratched from years of travel. Inside, the ship hummed with the sound of engines working hard to push it forward. The vessel carried medical, supplies and rare minerals to a colony on the edge of known space. Taman stood in the security office watching the sensor screens. He was a human in his late 20s with dark hair and calm eyes. His uniform was neat, and a small weapon rested on his hip. He had been a Marine once, back on Earth. Now he worked as a security officer on this peaceful merchant ship. The door opened. Hyejin walked in, holding a data pad. She was human too, with short black hair and quick movements. She worked as the navigation officer. "Anything interesting?" she asked. Taman pointed at one of the screens. 3 ships, coming fast from Sector 7. Hyejin leaned closer to look. Her face changed. "That's not good." "No," Taman agreed. "It's not." The 2 humans had grown up together in the soul arcology on Earth. They had joined the military together. When they left service, they took jobs in space together. They understood each other without needing many words. Hyejin tapped her communication device. "Captain Velthar, we have a situation." Minutes later, the bridge filled with crew members. Captain Velthar stood at the center. He was Varel, an insect-like alien with 4 arms and compound eyes. His exoskeleton was dark green, and he moved with careful precision. "Show me," the captain said. Taman brought the sensor data to the main screen. 3 ships appeared as red dots moving toward them. "Corsairs," said Velthar quietly. "The Blood Talon Raiders." A wave of fear moved through the alien crew. The Vrel, the Metharians with their crystal bodies, and the amphibious Quellan all knew what this meant. Corsairs were pirates. They attacked merchant ships. They took cargo and sometimes killed crews. "We follow standard protocol," Velthar announced. "We stop our engines. We prepare to surrender. They will take the cargo and leave us alive. This is how it works." The crew began to follow his orders, but Taman did not move. "Captain," Taman said, "I suggest we send them a warning first." Velthar turned his large eyes toward the human. "A warning? We are a cargo ship. They are 3 warships. What warning would matter?" "Tell them a human is on board," Taman said. His voice was calm. "Tell them to turn around." Several crew members made sounds that might have been laughter. The Metharian communications officer, whose name was difficult for humans to pronounce, clicked his crystal body. "The stories about humans," the Metharian said. "They cannot all be true." "They are not all true," Hyejin said from her station. She was checking navigation routes, looking for escape paths. "Some of them are exaggerated." "But not all of them," Taman added. Captain Velthar considered this. He had hired humans for his crew because they came cheap and worked hard. Humans were new to galactic society. They had only joined 50 years ago. Most aliens found them strange. Humans came from a death world called Earth, where everything tried to kill everything else. They had fought wars for thousands of years. They had built weapons that could destroy their whole planet. But that was just history. In the peaceful galaxy, such things did not matter. Or so Velthar had thought. "No," the captain decided. "We surrender. It is safer. I will not risk my crew on human pride." Taman nodded slowly. "Understood, Captain." The Stellar Harmony stopped moving. It floated in space, waiting. The 3 Corsair ships came closer. They were smaller than the cargo freighter, but faster and covered in weapons. Black metal hulls with red markings, the symbol of the Blood Talon Raiders. A communication came through. The main screen showed a face that made the alien crew step back. It was Krexith, the war chief of the Blood Talon fleet. He was Sarok, a species that looked like enormous reptiles. He had 4 arms, each thick with muscle. His scales were dark red, his eyes were yellow and cold. "Cargo ship." Krexith's voice was deep and rough. "You will transfer all cargo to our vessels. You will give us your access codes. You will not resist. If you obey, you live. If you resist, you die. You have 5 minutes to decide." Captain Velthar stepped forward. "We agree to your terms. We will not resist." Krexith smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Good. Intelligent decision. We will board shortly. Wait, Taman said, stepping into view of the screen. Krexith's eyes focused on him. A human? On this ship? Yes, Taman said. I am required to inform you of this fact. There is a human on board. For your own safety, I suggest you turn around and leave us alone. For a moment there was silence. Then Krexith began to laugh. It was a horrible sound, like rocks grinding together. His crew behind him laughed too. I have heard the stories about humans, Krexith said. Deathworlders, warriors, monsters in human skin. But they are just stories, propaganda. You are one small human on a ship with no weapons. We are 20 Sorok warriors with enough firepower to crack this ship like an egg. I understand, Taman said, but I have given you fair warning. Your warning means nothing, Krexith said. Prepare to be boarded. The screen went black. Captain Velthar turned to Taman. His compound eyes showed something that might have been concern. What have you done? I tried to save their lives, Taman said. He walked toward the door. Now they will learn why the stories exist. Hyejin stood up from her navigation station. She stretched her arms and rolled her shoulders. I tried to warn them too, she said, to no one in particular. From the engineering section, another human appeared. Daehyun was older than Taman, with gray in his hair and steady hands. He had been a technical specialist in the Navy. Now he kept the Stellar Harmony running. I heard, Daehyun said quietly. They are boarding? In about 3 minutes, Taman confirmed. Should we go to Assembly Point Alpha with the others? Daehyun asked, but he was already smiling slightly. He knew the answer. No, Taman said. We have work to do. The 3 humans looked at each other. They did not need to say much. They had trained for situations like this. Earth had prepared them. The Defense Force had taught them, and now, far from home, those lessons would matter. Captain Velthar watched the humans leave in different directions. He did not understand what they were planning. In galactic society, surrender was the logical choice. Fighting was suicide. But humans did not always choose logic. They chose something else. Something the rest of the galaxy had forgotten long ago. The Corsair ships attached to the hull of the Stellar Harmony with heavy magnetic clamps. The sound echoed through the cargo bay. Cutting torches began to burn through the outer airlock. In minutes, the raiders would be inside. Taman moved through the corridors of the ship. He checked his weapon. He checked his equipment. His face showed no emotion. He was calm. He had done this before in different places against different enemies. The location changed, the enemy changed, but the job was always the same. Protect the ship, protect the crew, eliminate the threat. The cutting torches finished their work. The airlock opened. 20 Sorok warriors stomped into the cargo bay, weapons ready, confident and loud. They did not know it yet, but they had made a terrible mistake. They should have turned around. The Corsairs marched through the cargo bay like they owned it. Their boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Each Sorok warrior stood over 7 feet tall with scales that looked like armor. They carried plasma rifles and blade weapons. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Raksul, pointed at different corridors. Secure the engine room, he ordered 3 warriors. You 4 find the crew. The rest with me to the bridge. The alien crew of the Stellar Harmony had gathered at Assembly Point Alpha, just as Captain Velthar commanded. They stood together in the main cargo hold, trembling. The Vrel clicked their mandibles nervously. The Metharians' crystal bodies pulsed with frightened colors. The Quellan stayed very still, their amphibian skin turning pale. Raksul looked at them and laughed. Good, you know how this works. Give us the cargo codes. Transfer control of your ship. Then we leave and you keep your lives. Captain Velthar stepped forward. We will cooperate. The codes are— Captain, one of the Metharians interrupted. Where are the humans? Velthar's eyes moved around the room. Taman was not there. Neither was Hyejin. Neither was Daehyun. The 3 humans had disappeared. Raksul's yellow eyes narrowed. Humans? How many? 3, Velthar said quietly. Find them, Raxul ordered his warriors. Bring them here with the others. 4 Sarok warriors left the cargo hold. They moved down the corridor, weapons ready. The ship was quiet except for the sound of their boots and their breathing. This is stupid, one warrior said. 3 humans against us? They should just surrender. Maybe they are hiding, another said. Cowards. They reached an intersection. The corridor split into 3 directions. The warriors looked at each other, deciding which way to go. That was when the lights went out. Complete darkness filled the corridor. The emergency systems should have activated red backup lights, but nothing happened. The warriors fumbled with their weapons, trying to activate the light attachments. What happened? One shouted. Stay together, the leader of the small group commanded. Then the red emergency lights did come on, but they were dim and flickering. The corridor looked like it was covered in blood. Shadows moved everywhere. The Sorok warriors raised their weapons, looking in all directions. This is not right, one whispered. A sound came from above. A scraping metal sound. All 4 warriors looked up at the ceiling. They saw ventilation grates, but the grates were too small for Sorok to fit through. They were built for smaller species. They were perfect for humans. One of the grates opened. A figure dropped down behind the last warrior in the group. Taman moved fast and silent. Before the Sorok could turn, the human's hand struck specific points on the warrior's neck and spine. The massive alien collapsed without a sound. The other 3 warriors spun around, but Taman was already gone. They saw their companion on the floor unconscious. They saw an empty corridor. Contact Raxul, the leader said, his voice shaking. We have a problem. Before he could activate his communication device, the lights went out again. In the darkness, they heard movement. Fast movement. Not the heavy steps of Sorok, but something quicker. Something hunting them. 2 weapons fired blindly into the dark. Plasma bolts lit up the corridor in flashes of blue light. They hit nothing but walls. When the lights came back on, another warrior was down, and they still had not seen their attacker. Back in the cargo hold, Raxul received the message. His face showed confusion, then anger. What do you mean you are under attack? By what? The human, sir. He is... The communication cut off with a sound of struggle. Raxul turned to Captain Velthar. Your human is attacking my warriors? I told you, Velthar said softly. Taman tried to warn you. 1 human cannot defeat 20 Sarok warriors. But even as Raxul said this, more reports came in. The team sent to engineering had not reported back. The team searching the upper decks had gone silent. Something was wrong. Very wrong. In the engineering section, Daehyun worked calmly at the control panels. He shut down systems and rerouted others. His old Navy training came back easily. Every ship had weaknesses. Every system could be turned into a weapon if you knew how. He isolated sections of the ship. He sealed bulkheads, creating a maze. He took control of the environmental systems. With a few commands, he made some corridors freezing cold. Others became hot enough to burn. He cut oxygen to sections where no crew members were present. Daehyun to Taman, he spoke into his communication device, which was encrypted with old military codes the Corsairs could not break. Sections A through F are now isolated. Sending you the safe routes. Received, came Taman's quiet reply. 4 down, 16 to go. On the bridge, Hyejin sat at the navigation console. She had locked out all other controls. The Corsairs could not access any ship systems without her codes, and she was not planning to give them. She pulled up the ship's communication array. With a smile, she began to play music through the internal speakers. Not calm music. Not peaceful music. She played music from Earth. Heavy metal. War drums. Sounds that made the alien crew jump in fear. But it had a different effect on the Corsairs. The music was meant to be intimidating, but it also told them where the humans were, or seemed to. Hyejin made the music play from different speakers at different times. The Corsairs heard sounds coming from everywhere and nowhere. They could not tell what was real. This is psychological warfare, Captain Velthar said, watching the Corsairs become more and more agitated. Raxul grabbed his weapon. Enough of this. I will find these humans myself and end them. He took 5 warriors with him. They left the cargo hold, moving toward the area where the last communication had come from. They found the corridor where Taman had attacked. They found 4 Sorok warriors on the ground, all unconscious, all stripped of their weapons. Impossible, Raxul breathed. 1 human did this? Not just 1 human, said a voice behind them. They spun around. Standing in the corridor was a young woman. She wore a medical uniform. She was small even for a human. She held no weapon. Just a medical kit. I am Mirai, she said calmly. I am the medical officer. I am required to inform you of several facts about your biology. Raxul laughed. You are a doctor? You think you can stop us with medicine? No, Mirai said. I think I can stop you because I know exactly which of your organs to target for maximum pain. I know your pressure points. I know your weak spots. I have studied Sauroch anatomy extensively. She reached into her medical kit. But instead of medicine, she pulled out small devices. Gas grenades, improvised from medical supplies. She threw them at the warrior's feet. White smoke filled the corridor. The Sauroch coughed and gasped. The gas was not deadly, but it burned their eyes and throats. It was made specifically to affect their respiratory systems. Through the smoke, Mirai ran. She was fast. She disappeared around a corner before the warriors could aim their weapons. Raxul roared in fury. After her! But when they chased her, they found themselves in a corridor that had been sealed. The doors behind them locked. The temperature began to drop rapidly. Frost formed on the walls. Dahyun to Mirai, came a voice over the speakers. Temperature in Sector 12 is now minus 20 degrees. Sauroch cold tolerance is approximately minus 5 degrees. They will need to retreat in about 4 minutes. Mirai's voice replied, acknowledged. That gives me plenty of time. Raxul understood now. The humans were not fighting like warriors. They were not honorable. They were using the ship itself as a weapon. They were hunting his warriors like animals. And they were winning. He ordered his team to retreat back to the cargo hold. But when they got there, they found fewer allies than before. More warriors had gone out to search. More had not returned. Of the 20 Sauroch who had boarded the Stellar Harmony, only 8 remained in the cargo hold. The others were scattered through the ship. Lost. Silent. Gone. This is not possible, Raxul said. They are just humans. Captain Velthar looked at him. The Vrel's compound eyes reflected something that might have been pity. You were warned. You did not listen. Taemin's voice came over the speakers. It was calm and cold. War Chief Raxul, I gave you a chance to leave. You chose not to take it. Your warriors are not dead, but they are no longer a threat. You have 8 left. I have removed 12 from combat. I can remove the rest. Face me with honor. Raxul shouted at the ceiling. Come out and fight like a warrior. There was a pause. Then Taemin spoke again. Honor is for people who can afford it. I am just doing my job. Protecting this ship and its crew. You are pests, and I am pest control. The remaining Corsairs looked at each other with fear. They had boarded this ship expecting easy prey. Instead, they had found humans. Real humans. Not the soft, civilized beings they thought existed, but the humans from the stories. The ones from the death world. The ones who remembered how to hunt. Raxul paced back and forth in the cargo hold like a trapped animal. His 8 remaining warriors stood in a circle, weapons pointing outward. They watched every shadow. Every sound made them flinch. The proud Corsairs who had boarded this ship now looked like frightened children. We should go back to our ships, one warrior said. His voice shook. No, Raxul growled. We do not retreat. We do not run from prey. They are not prey, another warrior said quietly. We are. Raxul hit him across the face. The warrior stumbled back but said nothing more. Fear had replaced discipline. The war chief could see it in their eyes. Captain Velthar and his crew remained still in their corner of the cargo hold. They had stopped being afraid of the Corsairs. Now they watched with a strange mixture of horror and fascination. The Vrel captain had employed humans for 2 years. He had thought he understood them. He had been wrong. Through the ship, the hunt continued. Taemin moved through the ventilation system like a ghost. The narrow metal tunnels had been designed for maintenance and small species. For a human, they were perfect. He could see through the grates into every room. He could move above the Corsairs without them knowing. He dropped down in a storage room where 2 warriors searched for supplies. Before they could react, he struck. His movements were precise, efficient, no wasted energy. Within seconds, both Sauroch were unconscious on the floor. He took their weapons and communication devices. Then he dragged their bodies to the cargo bay. He had been doing this with every warrior he defeated. Collecting them. Stacking them. The pile was growing. In the medical bay, Mirai prepared more surprises. She mixed chemicals that should never be mixed. She created compounds that made the air burn. She filled containers with substances that would explode on impact. Her medical knowledge became something dangerous in her hands. Mire to Hyejin, she spoke into her communicator. How many are left active in the corridors? Sensors show 3 groups, Hyejin replied from the bridge. 2 warriors near engineering. 1 group of 3 in the crew quarters. The rest barricaded in the cargo hold with the hostages. The 2 near engineering are mine. Daehyun's voice joined the conversation. I have a surprise ready for them. Near the engine room, 2 Saurok warriors moved carefully. They knew something was wrong with this ship. They knew humans were hunting them. But they had orders to secure engineering. They entered the main engine chamber. It was a large room filled with massive machinery. The engines hummed with power. Conduits and pipes covered every surface. Steam vented from pressure valves. Daehyun watched them from a control room above. He had spent 2 years maintaining these engines. He knew every system, every pressure point, every emergency shutdown. He typed commands into the console. The engine chamber began to fill with steam. Not enough to kill, but enough to make seeing impossible. The Saurok warriors shouted to each other, but the sound of the engines drowned out their voices. They stumbled through the steam, trying to find the exit, but Daehyun had sealed the main doors. There was only one way out now, a maintenance tunnel, a tunnel that led exactly where he wanted them to go. The warriors found the tunnel and crawled through it. They emerged in a storage room, the door sealed behind them with a heavy magnetic lock. Temperature in storage room 7 is now minus 30 degrees. Daehyun announced over the speakers. You will be uncomfortable but alive. Someone will retrieve you when this is over. Probably. In the crew quarters, 3 warriors kicked down doors. They searched cabins and rest areas. They found nothing. The quarters were empty, abandoned. This is wrong, one warrior said. Where are they? A sound came from behind them. They turned. Standing at the end of the corridor was Hyejin. She held a datapad. Nothing else, looking for someone? She asked. The 3 warriors raised their weapons. Surrender, human. Why would I do that? Hyejin tilted her head. I control this ship. You are in my maze now. She tapped the datapad. The doors on both ends of the corridor sealed shut. The lights flickered and changed color. Red became blue, became green. The warriors looked around in confusion. Did you know? Hyejin said, her voice coming from speakers all around them. That Saurok vision is different from human vision? You see heat. You track movement, but you process color changes very poorly. The lights began to strobe, flashing, changing, fast, too fast. The warriors stumbled. Their vision could not adjust. They became dizzy, disoriented. It is like a seizure, but for your eyes, Hyejin explained. Not permanent. Just very, very unpleasant. By the time the light stopped, all 3 warriors were on the ground. Hyejin opened the door. Taemin was there, ready. Together, they secured the warriors and dragged them to join the growing pile in the cargo bay. Now only the 8 in the cargo hold remained. The 8 with Raxul. The 8 using hostages as shields. The 3 humans met in a maintenance corridor. They looked tired but focused. Taemin checked his weapon. Daehyun reviewed a schematic of the cargo bay. Mirai carried a bag full of her improvised devices. Status? Taemin asked. All systems under our control, Daehyun replied. I can seal any section. Control any environment. Corsair communications are jammed, Hyejin added. Their ships cannot hear them. They cannot call for help. Medical assessment, Mirai said, is that none of the wounded Corsairs have serious injuries. Concussions, bruising, hypothermia, chemical irritation, all recoverable. Taemin nodded. Good. We are not murderers. We are just making a point. What about the 8 in the cargo hold? Hyejin asked. They have hostages. They think the hostages are their advantage, Taemin said. A small smile appeared on his face. They are wrong. He activated his communicator. War Chief Raxul, can you hear me? In the cargo hold, Raxul grabbed his communication device. I hear you, human. I want to make you an offer, Taemin said. You have 8 warriors. I have eliminated 12. You are surrounded. You cannot win. But you still have hostages, so I will trade myself for them. The alien crew gasped. Captain Velthar's eyes widened. Taemin, no! But Raxul was smiling. Finally. Finally, the human was surrendering. Yes, come to the cargo bay, unarmed, hands visible, or I start killing hostages. Agreed, Taemin said. I am coming now. He closed the communication and looked at his fellow humans. Get into position. You know what to do. This is risky, Daehyun said. Everything is risky, Taemin replied. That is why it will work. 5 minutes later, the cargo bay doors opened. Taemin walked in slowly. His hands were raised. His weapon was gone. He looked calm, almost relaxed. Raxul pointed his weapon at him. On your knees, human. Taemin knelt down. The 8 Sauroch warriors surrounded him. Their weapons all aimed at him, you see, Raxul said to his warriors. Humans are not so dangerous. They can be defeated, can they? Taemin asked. Raxul hit him with the back of his hand. It was a powerful blow. Taemin's head snapped to the side. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. But he did not fall. He looked back at Raxul and smiled. Is that all? Taemin asked. I thought Sauroch were supposed to be strong. Raxul raised his weapon to strike again. But Captain Velthar spoke up. War Chief, the Varel said carefully. I must ask, where are we standing right now? Raxul looked around. The cargo bay. Why does it matter? Because, Taemin said, still kneeling, you are standing in a very specific section of the cargo bay. The section directly in front of the external airlock. Raxul's eyes went wide. He looked down. He was standing on grated floor. Below the grates was the airlock chamber. His warriors were standing there too, but Taemin was kneeling on solid floor. Outside the grated section, and his feet had magnetic clamps on his boots. Clamps that were now activated, you see, Taemin said. I did not come here to surrender. I came here to give you one last chance. Turn around. Leave this ship, or learn why humans have a reputation. Kill him, Raxul shouted. But before any warrior could fire, Hyejin's voice came over the speakers. Decompression in 3. The alien hostages all grabbed onto secured railings. They had been told what to do. They had been moved to safe positions while Raxul was distracted. 2. Raxul realized the trap. He tried to run. His warriors tried to reach solid ground. 1. The external airlock opened. Space does not make sound, but the rush of air leaving the ship made a roar like a hurricane. Everything not secured was pulled toward the opening. The Sauroch warriors, standing on grated floor with no magnetic boots, were dragged backward. They tumbled through the grates, into the airlock chamber and out into space. 8 Sauroch warriors, including War Chief Raxul, were expelled from the ship in 3 seconds. Then the airlock closed. The emergency systems sealed the breach. Air stopped rushing out. Silence returned. Taemin stood up. He deactivated his magnetic boots and dusted off his uniform. Captain Velthar and the crew stared at him with wide eyes. Are they dead? One of the Metharians whispered. No, Taemin said. Their ships are right outside. Their suits have emergency beacons. They will be picked up in minutes. Uncomfortable but alive, Hyejin and Daehyun entered the cargo bay. Mirai came in behind them. The 4 humans stood together. Ship is secure, Hyejin reported. All Corsairs accounted for. 12 in the medical bay under guard, Mirai added. 8 in space. 0 casualties. Captain Velthar approached Taemin slowly. You planned this. All of it. Yes, Taemin said simply. You could have killed them all. Yes. But you did not. The Stellar Harmony continued its journey to the frontier colony. Inside the medical bay, 12 Sauroch warriors sat in secured holding areas. They were bruised, cold, and humiliated, but alive. Mirai checked their conditions regularly. She was professional and efficient. She did not gloat. She simply did her job. The 8 who had been expelled into space had been recovered by their own ships. The Corsair fleet had watched in shock as their war chief and his best warriors tumbled out of the cargo freighter. They had picked them up, treated them, and then done something very unusual for Corsairs. They left. No revenge attack. No attempt to recapture their comrades. The 3 Blood Talon ships simply turned around and jumped to faster than light speed. They were gone within an hour. On the bridge, Captain Velthar sat in his command chair. He had not slept. He kept replaying the events in his mind. The humans had moved through his ship like something from a nightmare. They had defeated 20 trained warriors without killing anyone. They had turned the Stellar Harmony itself into a weapon. Captain, Hyejin said from the navigation console, we will reach the colony in 6 hours. Velthar nodded slowly. Thank you, Hyejin. The human woman looked at him. Are you all right, Captain? I am unsure, Velthar admitted. I have employed humans for 2 years. I thought I knew what humans were. I was incorrect. Hijin considered this. What did you think we were? Adaptable, clever, hard-working, strange but harmless in a civilized setting. And now? Now I understand why most of the galaxy fears your species. Yejin turned back to her console. We are not monsters, Captain. We just come from a world that made us very good at surviving and protecting what matters to us. This crew matters to you? Felthar asked. Of course, Yejin said as if it was obvious. You gave us jobs when most aliens would not hire humans. You treated us fairly. You trusted us. That makes you worth protecting. Velthar felt something warm in his thorax. Gratitude, perhaps. Or maybe just relief that the humans were on his side. In the security office, Taman wrote his report. Every action had to be documented. Every use of force had to be justified. He typed with careful precision, explaining exactly what had happened and why. Daehyun entered the office. The older human carried 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Taman. You wrote that we showed restraint, Daehyun said, reading over Taman's shoulder. We did, Taman replied. We threw 8 people into space. We did not shoot them. We did not torture them. We used non-lethal force and only when necessary. By Earth Defense Force standards, this was a very gentle response. Daehyun laughed. The galaxy is not ready for what a non-gentle response looks like. No, Taman agreed. They are not. 3 days later, the Stellar Harmony reached the frontier colony. The colony was called New Haven, a settlement of 3,000 aliens trying to build a new life on a barely habitable world. They needed the medical supplies and minerals the ship carried. But something had changed. When the ship approached, the colony's defense coordinator contacted them immediately. Stellar Harmony, this is New Haven Control. We have received reports of your encounter with the Blood Talon Corsairs. Is it true? Did you defeat them without weapons? Captain Velthar looked at Taman, who stood nearby. The human shrugged. It is true, Velthar confirmed. My security team dealt with the threat. Your security team of humans? Yes, there was a pause. Then the defense coordinator spoke again and his voice sounded different. Respectful. Maybe even awed. We are honored to have you dock with us, Captain. Your cargo is desperately needed, and we would very much like to meet your crew. When the ship docked, a crowd had gathered. Aliens of many species waited at the terminal. They wanted to see the humans who had defeated the Blood Talon raiders. News traveled fast in the frontier, carried by communication drones and gossip networks. Taman, Hyejin, Daehyun, and Mirai walked down the loading ramp together. They wore clean uniforms. They looked ordinary. Just 4 humans doing their jobs. But the crowd stared at them like they were legends. A Quillon official approached. We thank you for protecting this shipment. The colony depends on these supplies. We were protecting our ship and crew, Taman said simply. The cargo was secondary. Still, the official continued, you have done the entire frontier a service. The Blood Talon raiders have terrorized this sector for years. Now they know that ships with humans aboard are not easy targets. They were warned, Hyejin said. They chose not to listen. Word spread through the colony in hours. Then days, then weeks. The story grew as it traveled. Some details were exaggerated. Some were simplified. But the core truth remained. 3 humans, with 1 more helping, had defeated 20 Corsair warriors without firing a shot. They had used intelligence, strategy, and knowledge of their own ship. They had turned a cargo freighter into a battlefield and won. 1 month after the incident, Captain Velthar received a communication from Galactic Coalition Navy headquarters. An admiral named Brexon wanted to speak with him. This was unusual. The Navy did not usually concern itself with merchant ships. The admiral's face appeared on the screen. He was a heptarch, a species with multiple tentacles and a large cranium. His uniform showed many medals and decorations. Captain Velthar, the admiral said, I have read the reports about your encounter with the Blood Talon Corsairs. Remarkable. I would like to interview your human crew members. May I ask why, Admiral? Because the Navy is studying human tactical capabilities. We have observed that human crewed vessels have a much lower rate of successful piracy attacks. We want to understand why. 3 days later, Taman sat in a communication room. Speaking to the Admiral, Explain to me, Admiral Brexon said, how you defeated 20 trained warriors. Taman thought about this. We used several advantages. First, we knew the ship better than they did. Second, we could coordinate without them intercepting our communications. Third, we understand violence in a way most galactic species do not. Elaborate on that last point. Most species in the galaxy evolved on peaceful worlds, Taman explained. Your ancestors did not need to be aggressive to survive. Humans evolved on Earth, a death world. Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else. Predators, prey, weather, disease, other humans. We developed weapons and tactics over thousands of years of warfare. When we entered galactic society, we brought all of that knowledge with us. And you can apply this knowledge without becoming violent criminals? Yes, Admiral. Because we also developed laws, morals, and discipline. We know when to use violence and when not to. We know how to fight and how to show mercy. The Corsairs learned this. Admiral Brexon was quiet for a moment. The galaxy is not used to a species like yours. We know, Taman said. But we are trying to fit in. Perhaps, the Admiral said slowly, the galaxy needs to adjust to you, rather than the other way around. After the interview ended, Captain Velthar called a crew meeting. All the aliens gathered in the common room. The 4 humans stood to one side. I have a proposal, Velthar announced. I want the humans to stay on as permanent crew members, with significant pay increases and better accommodations. The alien crew members looked at each other. Then slowly they all agreed. Some clicked their approval. Some hummed. Some simply nodded. The Metharian communications officer spoke up. We were afraid of the humans after seeing what they did. But we understand now. They protected us. They could have let the Corsairs take the cargo and leave us alive. Instead, they fought. They risked themselves for us. Will you stay? Velthar asked the humans. Taman looked at his companions. Hyjin smiled. Dahyun nodded. Mirai gave a thumbs up. We will stay, Captain, Taman said. Someone has to keep the shipping lanes safe. Far away on the Blood Talon flagship, War Chief Krexith sat in his command chair. He was alive but defeated. His warriors mocked him. His reputation was destroyed. He had attacked a cargo ship with 3 humans aboard and lost. His second-in-command approached. War Chief, another target has been identified. A merchant vessel carrying valuable technology. Krexith pulled up the information. He reviewed the ship's details. Then he checked the crew manifest. 2 humans were listed. A pilot and an engineer. Krexith closed the file. We will find a different target. But War Chief, I said we will find a different target. Krexith roared. I do not attack ships with humans aboard. Not anymore. The order spread through the Blood Talon fleet, then to other Corsair groups, then to pirates and raiders across the frontier. A new rule emerged. Ships with human crew were marked as no-raid zones. It was not a law. It was not official, but it was followed. Because the Corsairs had learned what the rest of the galaxy was slowly understanding. Humans were not to be underestimated. They had come from a world of endless violence and emerged with the ability to channel that violence with precision and control. They could be gentle. They could be peaceful. They could be your friends, but if you threatened them or those they protected, they became something else entirely, something that the galaxy had not seen in millions of years. They became what their world had made them. Survivors, protectors, warriors, and they were very, very good at it. 6 months passed after the incident with the Blood Talon Corsairs. The story had spread across known space like wildfire. It reached space stations and colonies. It traveled through merchant networks and military channels. It became legend. The stellar harmony continued its roots through the frontier. Captain Velthar noticed a change in how other ships responded to them. When they requested docking clearance, they received priority. When they traveled through dangerous sectors, other ships gave them respectful distance. Pirates who once might have considered them a target now avoided them entirely, all because of 4 humans. Taman stood in the security office reviewing the latest intelligence reports. More ships were hiring human crew members. Some were hiring humans specifically for security roles. Others just wanted 1 or 2 humans aboard as deterrents. It is strange, Taman said to Hyjin, who had stopped by with reports. We did not want to become symbols. We just wanted to do our jobs. Too late, Hyjin replied. We are already symbols. The humans who defeated the Corsairs without killing them. The humans who proved the stories true. Not all the stories are true, Taman said. No, Hyjin agreed. But enough of them are. A priority communication came through. Captain Velthar's voice echoed from the speakers. All crew to the bridge. We have visitors. On the bridge, a large screen showed 2 ships approaching. They were not Corsair vessels. They were military ships. Galactic Coalition Navy cruisers marked with the official seal. They are requesting permission to dock, the Matharian communications officer reported. Granted, Velthar ordered, but keep shields ready. When the Navy officers came aboard, they brought news. The leader was a human woman in a Navy uniform. She had captain's insignia on her collar. Her name tag read Captain Jiwoo. She saluted Taman and his fellow humans. I am Captain Jiwoo of the GCN Dauntless. I am here on behalf of Admiral Brexon. What does the Admiral want? Taman asked. To offer you a message, Jiwoo said. She pulled up a datapad and began to read. The Galactic Coalition Navy recognizes the actions of the human crew of the Stellar Harmony. Your defense of your vessel and crew represents the best qualities of humanity in galactic society. You have shown restraint, intelligence, and capability. The Navy wishes to acknowledge this publicly. Captain Velthar stepped forward. Publicly? Jiwoo smiled. Yes, your story has become very popular. The Navy wants to use it as an example, to show that humans can integrate into galactic society while maintaining their unique abilities. We are not heroes, Taman said. We just protected our ship. That is exactly why you are heroes, Jiwoo replied. You did not seek glory. You did not want recognition. You simply did what needed to be done. That is what the galaxy needs to see. She handed Taman a data chip. This contains a formal commendation from the Admiral. Also job offers. If you ever want to join the Navy, you would be welcomed. Taman looked at the chip, then at his crewmates, then at Captain Velthar. Thank you, he said. But we already have a job. We like it here. Jiwoo nodded with understanding. I thought you might say that. The Admiral said to tell you, quote, the galaxy is safer because humans like you exist. End quote. After the Navy ships departed, the crew of the Stellar Harmony gathered in the common room. Captain Velthar brought out a special beverage from his homeworld. It was a celebration drink, though no one was quite sure what they were celebrating. To the humans, Velthar announced, raising his cup, who gave us all heart attacks but kept us alive. The crew laughed. Even the humans smiled. Captain, Mirai asked, what will happen now? Will we be famous? You are already famous, Velthar said. The question is what we do with that fame. We ignore it, Taman said simply. We keep doing our jobs. We keep flying routes. We keep delivering cargo. That is who we are. But ignoring fame proved difficult. 3 weeks later, a journalist requested to travel with them. Her name was Jiwoo, the same as the Navy captain, and she worked for the largest news network in the frontier. I want to document your daily lives, she explained over communication. Show the galaxy what humans are really like. Not the legends, the truth. Captain Velthar looked at Taman. Your decision. Taman thought about it. Fine, but she does not interfere with ship operations. And she reports honestly. No exaggerations. Journalist Jiwoo came aboard at the next station. She was a young woman with recording equipment and bright eyes full of curiosity. She followed the humans around with cameras. She interviewed each crew member. She documented their daily routines. This is boring, she said after the 3rd day. You just check systems and run diagnostics. Where is the excitement? This is the real job, Heejin explained. Fighting Corsairs happens once every few years. The rest of the time we are just crew members on a cargo ship. But you are warriors. We are crew members who can fight if we need to. Daehyun corrected. There is a difference. Jiwoo filmed them eating meals. She filmed them exercising. She filmed them playing games with the alien crew. She filmed Taman teaching a young Vrel crew member basic self-defense techniques. This is what people need to see, she said. Humans being normal. Being part of the crew. Her documentary was released 2 months later. It was called Humans Among Us: The Truth Behind the Legends. It showed the humans of the Stellar Harmony as regular people. It showed them laughing with alien friends. It showed them working hard at boring tasks. It showed them being gentle with the young Vrel, and then at the end it showed security footage from the Corsair attack. The footage of Taman moving through ventilation shafts. The footage of the humans coordinating perfectly. The footage of 8 warriors being expelled into space. The documentary ended with Taman's words. We are not monsters. We are not heroes. We are just people from a difficult world who learned to adapt and survive. That is all. The documentary became the most watched program in frontier space. Billions of aliens saw it, and opinions began to shift. Before, many aliens feared humans because of stories and rumors. Now they saw humans as complex beings, capable of violence, yes, but also capable of mercy, friendship, and loyalty. Dangerous when threatened, but peaceful when treated fairly. The demand for human crew members increased dramatically. Some humans took advantage of this. They hired themselves out as guards and security officers. They worked on merchant ships and mining stations. They spread through the frontier like seeds on the wind. Most followed the example of Taman and his crew. They did their jobs well. They protected their employers. They used violence only when necessary. They became known as reliable and professional, some did not. Some humans became criminals or mercenaries. They used their abilities for selfish purposes. But they were the minority. Most humans wanted to integrate, to be part of galactic society, to prove that Earth's children could be citizens, not just warriors. 1 year after the Corsair attack, the Stellar Harmony received a strange request. A group of Sorok merchants wanted to hire human security officers. They had heard about Taman and his crew. They wanted humans to protect their ships. They are Sorok, Velthar pointed out, the same species as the blood-talon Corsairs. Not all Sorok are Corsairs, Taman said. Just like not all humans are peaceful. He agreed to meet with the Sorok merchants. They were nervous but respectful. Their leader, a trader named Vexith, explained their situation. Our ships are being attacked by our own people. Corsairs do not care that we are civilians. They take our cargo and sometimes kill our crews. We need protection. And humans have a reputation now. A reputation that might save lives without violence. You want us to scare away attackers? Taman asked. Yes. If a ship is known to have humans aboard, Corsairs avoid it. We have seen this happen many times now. Taman considered this. We will help you find humans willing to work for you. But they must be treated fairly. Equal pay. Equal respect. If we hear that you mistreat them, we will make sure no human ever works for you again. Vexith agreed immediately. Understood. We will treat them well. The meeting ended with an agreement. Sorok merchants would hire human guards. Humans would protect Sorok ships. Former enemies would become partners. Captain Velthar heard about this and smiled. The galaxy is changing, he said. Yes, Taman agreed, slowly. But it is changing. 2 years after the Corsair attack, something remarkable happened. The Galactic Coalition officially recognized humans as a protected species. This meant human rights were guaranteed by law. This meant discrimination against humans was illegal. This meant humans were not just new members of galactic society. They were equal members. The law passed because of many factors. But everyone agreed that the Stellar Harmony incident had been important. It had shown that humans could be dangerous but also controlled, powerful but also ethical, different but also cooperative. On the day the law passed, Captain Velthar called the human crew to the bridge. I want to say something, he began. 2 years ago I hired you because you were cheap labor. I am ashamed to admit this, but it is true. I did not understand what humans were. I did not respect you as I should have. Captain, Taman started to say. Please let me finish, Velthar continued. You have taught me and this crew many things. You have taught us that strength without mercy is cruelty. You have taught us that different does not mean wrong. You have taught us